talking about strikers or non-strikers, there's some World Cup bits and bobs that I'd like to chat to you both about. And the first of that would be Lionel Messi, or Lionel Messi, however you like to say it. What do you make of the criticism, Sam, that he's been getting for his work rate, in particular for Argentina's first couple of games?
I can't see it as it's ever been any different. Because the quality of the team that Barcelona had, it's fine. Because the amount of ball they could give him is where he could use his genius as a footballer and create openings and assists and score brilliant goals. 40 a year, 30 a year, 35, 40, 41, 42 for 10 years, 12 years maybe even. If you look back at Barcelona, him and Ronaldo fighting every year, not just for 1 or 2 years, it's for 10, 12 years. Like, we can all carry on playing football if we didn't need to run so much. Yeah. Because our experience, our talent is always there and has improved with age, but the legs go. Yeah. And when the leg goes, you just can't do it anymore. Yeah. And that's where we are with Ronaldo and with Gareth Bale probably a little bit, you know what I mean? But both of them, all three of them, you need them the World Cup to change a game like that. You might not be the best team and they'll just go bang, bang, bush, and they'll put you in the frame to win the game or get something out of it. Yeah.
Did anyone sit you down, Sav, or did you just know that career was coming
to
an
end? So I was 37, Nigel Clough at Derby, and again, and Sam says it sums up perfectly well, that in my head, because my game was all about running, getting about the pitch, and when I broke my leg and Paul Jewell signed me, I felt sorry for Paul Jewell because he was put in a difficult situation where he was buying me based on the fact that I could still get after people. When I broke my leg, I wasn't there to adapt. And obviously, you know, we fell out, and it wasn't Paul's fault because he bought the player from Blackburn who he thought was the player he'd seen, but I wasn't because of my broken leg. So I let him down a little bit. But then when Nigel Clough come in, I adapted and just played as a 6 and got it and just broke things up and give it to the better players, which I did all my career. Mm-hmm. And then at 36, Nigel said, listen, I can offer you another year at Derby, but you won't be as captain, you won't play as much, but you can be around the group. And for me, and the difficult thing is that when you've started every single game of your 631 games, I was only sub about 20 times. Me as a person was a bit of a worry, a bit insecure, and my body language, because I was a huge character, would reflect the dressing room. And the times I didn't play, I would sulk. Not intentionally, because I love football that much. My body language would reflect on others, and the manager would know the amount of times when I only got left out about 15 times, the manager would pull me in the week training and say, what's wrong with you? I said, nothing. Well, you know, liven up because the lads are saying there's something wrong with Sav. But it was just because I wanted to play. I didn't do it intentionally, and people would say I become a bad influence in the dressing room, but I didn't. It was just the love of football. And so when he told me that, I said, you know what? All my week is leading up to a Saturday. That's where you get the buzz. And if I'm gonna be sub coming on 15 minutes, I said I don't really want to. I just think that might be the end. Even though in the bleep tests, in the fitness runs, I was top. But again, when you're top, and just say I was trying to close Sam down, my stats would be the same, but I just couldn't get there quick enough, and they would pass around you, and then I could recover. But again, I was just fractionally off it, and it's hard to come to terms with. It's horrible. Gosh, it's horrible, isn't it? Horrible when you think you can still do it.
Well, Lionel Messi's career might not be over yet, obviously.
No.
Still in the World Cup.
Yes. He'll end up in America or somewhere like that.
What do you make of those rumours?
Well, Phil Neville, man, who's a mate of mine, great lad, Phil.
Oh, do you know any? Has he told you anything?
No, but you know, Phil Neville could be managing Lionel Messi.
How do you feel about that?
Listen, Phil's great. Listen, Phil and Gary. Listen, Gary's the busiest man in the world. I'm not surprised he hasn't done this podcast. He does everything else.
I'm not surprised he's Prime Minister.
Well, what's Gary? Labour, mate. What's he going to be next, guys? Listen, he was always called Busy. That was his nickname in the youth team. Every time he used to do something, he used to go buzz. Busiest man in the world. But I tell you what, you know, you want Gary on your side. Listen, Gary and Phil, Neville, you know, sadly no longer with us. Great family, his mother, you know, what they did with
Tracy,
the whole family. You know, I can't speak highly enough of Gaz and Phil. And Phil's great, you know, his son out there as well with him, Harvey. But I'd love to see Phil managing Lionel Messi. Phil's great. Listen, when people say about Phil Neville, what he achieved in his career, outstanding.
I think the thing about Ronaldo is I don't know whether the rumours are true, but he's saying he only wants Champions League football.
So he has a good World Cup.
So if he has a good World Cup and he scores a few more goals, that may well be the case.
If you were hypothetically, you were a manager now in a I don't think he'll come back to the Premier League because he's got that 2-game ban, hasn't he? If he signs for a Premier League side, I think so, because I think I think so. Might be wrong, but I think he has. If he signs for a Premier League team, he's got a 2-game ban. So if he has a great World Cup, and because he started right, got a goal. And you were in a Champions League, Napoli or somebody, would you think? Do you know what?
I think in Italy he'll still be a success, even in the league, because that's so much slower than our league, and I think that would suit him better rather than the Premier League club.
Well, City, it was linked with City, wasn't he? Yeah. Seeing the documentary. Yeah. Would you have liked him at City?
I would not have liked him at City.
Why? So last year he scored 24 goals.
Because for me, Manchester City are a team that's very close together. I don't think Pep would Pep does a lot of research on players, so he brings in intelligent players.
What's
he
looks
into the background of
40 goals a year for 16 years. 50 goals.
But I think he did it to United. I think he came in. I think he ruined what they had as a team.
He's got 24 goals.
But what did they finish second in the league? He came in, scored 24 goals, and they finished fifth. Like I think he rotted the group of players.
Oh. But if Sancho, so if you bring a player in, you brought Ronaldo in. So just say you're a manager, you brought Ronaldo in. Mm-hmm. Ronaldo delivered. As a number 9, he delivered. Unquestionably, scored more goals than Harry Kane last season in the league. Yeah. So he delivered.
The team didn't.
Okay. So is that Ronaldo? So did Sancho deliver? No.
No.
Did Varane deliver?
No. So
the 3 big signings, 1 delivered, 2 didn't.
I guess they'd argue Varane was injured for.
Well, it's not Raul's fault.
No.
You two look at me like I'm talking rubbish.
No. I just think that as a manager, you have to be able to handle anybody if they're a top player. So Pep wouldn't have no trouble in handling.
So do you think Ronaldo made the team worse?
Would have no trouble in.
Do you think Ronaldo made the team worse last year?
Who?
Do you think Ronaldo made Manchester United worse last year? Because people will say Fernandes and Ronaldo can't play in the same team.
No point in Reniec or whatever his name made Man United worse. Because that was the worst choice they made. And Man United are only poor because of the recruitment. I think if Man United had ever signed Haaland, which they should have done, because Ollie worked with him at Mould for 2 or 3 years. He was in Man United. And whatever it took, they should have signed him, and Ollie would still be there now. Because he would be scoring 30 goals a year for Man United,
the biggest
not
club
Man
in
City.
Manchester.
And I don't know why.
Here he is. He's fishing with me, Sam. He's fishing. They can stay big. I always say they can have the biggest club trophy. We'll have the Premier League.
We all know we're all as managers. We're only as good as our players. And we can only be held in high esteem in the public eye by the quality of player that we have. We cannot magic a magic wand and make these players brilliant. We can improve them by what we do and how we do it, and what relationship we have, and how we evolve the club. We can do that, but the quality of the player, physically, mentally, technically, tactically, is about how good can you build your squad and how much talent can you get in. And when you get that talent in, you start rising, and then if you don't continue to improve that talent, then you end up failing. And that most of the time, and I'm bound to stick up for the managers, most of the time it's not the manager's fault. So, because the manager's not a manager anymore, he's only head coach, and he's not even in charge of recruiting his own players anymore, and that's a dangerous thing when your title becomes an head coach, because players are with you that perhaps you wouldn't particularly have signed on yourself, but they're there.
It's a fascinating debate. This I'm not, because you mention Man City all the time whenever podcast. So at Macclesfield now we have a head of recruitment, and so. Because the turnover managers at our levels is probably a lot. So in our model, we have had a recruitment because we feel that we recruited for a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 the club. Yeah, because we wanted to play with 4 lines and a 4-2-3-1 to break teams down. So the new we've had a new manager in, and now he's had to come in with the structure of, we have a head of recruitment who will, you tell him what you need. And for me, a head of recruitment's knowledge of players is better than the manager's.
Yeah.
So that's our model. And because if our manager leaves and he brings in 4, 5, 6 players of his own, yeah, which I'm sure he'll want to, then we have to start again. And at our levels, the budgets, our budget is quite big. So it's fascinating what I've seen. And I think head of recruitment, sporting directors now, because a manager, as you say, all I say to my managers, these are the players, try and get me 3 points, make them better. And you might disagree, but I think
you can make them better, Robbie, but only a small amount of what you can improve them by the team they're playing with if they're better players, by nutrition, fitness, strength, conditioning, so on and so by mentally talking to them about. You can have a sports scientist if you want, but you as a manager or coach have to be a sports scientist yourself, particularly at that level, because you can't afford one. No. You know what I mean? So
we like Man City.
You know what I mean? So you read the situation, you read body language, you understand people's body language, you understand people's personality. Joofy's a tearaway. I deal with that. Gary Speed is 100% dedicated professional. I'll deal with that. I have to deal with Joofy a bit more than I have to deal with Gary Speed. Yeah. But that's my job. The whole package now is massive, what you have to think about and what you put together. Once you put it together, but you can't do it like that how everybody wants. You can't do it overnight how everybody wants. No. And it takes time and patience. And the only way you get time and patience is by winning.
Yeah. And there's a question which I've always liked to ask a manager. When you say, manager's got his favourites.
No.
Is that not true?
Not for me.
So manager will not have his favourites?
Not for me, no.
So will a player get away with a little bit more because he's playing well?
Well, a big player will get away with a bit more, and a big player who I bought will get away with a bit more before I drop him. Don't worry about that. He'll go, I've got to keep him a bit longer. I've just bought him. So there is a bit of that. You can call that favouritism if you want, but it's definitely the case,